EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Dungeon Hunter 5, which you can play for free on iOS and Android right now. Welcome back to EP Daily. Transistor from Supergiant Games was pretty darn cool on the PS4 and on the PC, but if you wanted to carry it with you, you had a problem because those things are heavy. But now you can because it's hit the iOS platforms. We took a look at it. What'd you think, my friend?
Well, I was so excited to see this in the App Store. I was so pumped because I love Supergiant Games.
Yes.
I absolutely
Bastion
love those
was amazing.
guys. Bastion was so fantastic. So I had really high hopes for this game.
Yes.
Now, I know that the PS4 version was already reviewed on the show, but I had actually never played it yet. I was waiting for it to come to this device. I knew it would.
Yeah, me too.
And so I was so stoked for it. It's a little bit pricier in the App Store. It's around $12.
Deserving of every penny. I'm kind of blowing the surprise of the score on this thing, but it's a pretty phenomenal mobile game.
It is, yes, but if you have a controller,
yeah.
That's the
Which
main...
I do. I have a couple of them at this point.
Which you do, of course.
Look, whatever you're thinking, do me a favor. Don't let me go.
You're fighting this robotic, crazy, oppressive
Armada,
force.
like
Yeah, the Camerata.
Yeah, the Camerata.
Yeah, and then they're trying to process this city called Cloudbank, and it's all really stylized and beautiful, and there's lots of incredibly lush music. This is one of the best soundtracks in video game history.
The music is fantastic. The voiceovers are
Excellent.
fantastic.
Yes.
They're so beautifully done here all the way through. And of course you want to listen to this game with headphones in, and I love how it reminds you of that right at the top. Like, please enjoy this game with headphones because you really get the full experience that way.
I'm so sorry, Red.
There's so many more things to love about this game, but I feel like so many of those things get taken away if you don't have the controller.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated game.
Yeah.
It's the full console or PC experience, so you're going to have a lot of little icons and stuff on screen. You get attacked from all sides. This has the ability to become a turn-based type of game. It's real-time action, RPG, but you can actually pause the action and create a whole bunch of series of moves for yourself.
Which is really the only way to get things done because these enemies are quite difficult to defeat. So you need to actually pause it, take your turn, go behind them, attack them that way, and also use the right attacks because you only have a certain amount to use, of course, the way the turn base is.
And that's much easier to do with a controller. It felt just like I was playing this thing on a console. I have the Moga Rebel. That's the one that I like the most. This is a game that justifies this. This is also the passing that threshold mark where it's like, yeah, now it's time to start thinking about a controller for your iOS stuff because games are getting serious on this platform, and this is one of those games that totally underscores that. It deserves to be played, and it deserves to be played properly. You can have fun with it with the touchscreen for sure, and that turn-based time will give you the time to kind of appreciate all of its nuances. But with a controller, it's an unbelievable experience. It looks so great on the 6S screen as well. It's a gorgeous game.
It's absolutely beautiful, of course. I mean, these guys know what they're doing for sure.
Now.
I hate that I had that moment and those feelings taken away because I didn't have the controller.
It's because it's because it was built for the controller first.
It was built for the controller first, but I didn't have that problem with Bastion as much. And I know in Bastion I was tapping the screen to get my character where he needs to go, and you do the same thing here with Red, but there's also a lot of swiping to get around, and you do make use of those controls, and there is a different controller option on the iPad as well to use a classic control, but that is almost useless.
With the on-screen D-pad. And I think the other thing that sort of weighs against that with Transistor, it's even more detailed, and there's even more sort of stylized, eccentric design elements on screen, so it becomes a little cluttered, and you're also dealing with it on a smaller screen than it was originally designed for as well. So all of that points to you got to shell out some bucks for a controller, and you got to get this game because it's time to pick something up like this.
So it actually would almost cost as much as the PS4 version.
Well, more.
Okay,
but then you'd have
an
awesome controller. But anyways, this is one of the best iOS games I've played. 9 out of 10 for me.
It is a very good game. It's not Bastion good though. It gets an 8 though. It's not quite there for me.